Hey y'all, and this is a bit of a different format for me, but I just got done watching Clerks 3 and I wanted to say some things while it was still all fresh in my mind. It was great. I really enjoyed it. I think definitely any fans of Kevin Smith's work are going to really enjoy this movie. I personally think it's probably one of his best films he's ever made. There's plenty of humor in it, but unlike some of the previous entries, the humor doesn't get in the way of the storytelling. And some of the, things Kevin Smith occasionally does just because he wanted to do it, doesn't get in the way of it either. Kind of like in Clerks 2, where they just had he had the musical scene because he wanted a musical scene, and it kind of derails the movie. You don't get any of that in this. And it's probably the most emotionally honest movie he's ever done. It goes kind of deeper into the characters than they have before, which is amazing that, in a third film about people running a convenience store, that they find more and more things to delve with in between these characters. Sorry. But I really enjoyed it, and trying to avoid spoilers. Now, there are some really good dramatic moments, and for the core too, for Jeff Anderson and Brian O'Halloran, this is probably some of the best acting they've ever done in this, and it's just amazing. And you can tell he's really drawing it from his life, but he's kind of lost some of that level of obfuscation where, he tries to lessen the blow of some of the emotional moments. And it's really, really good. I hope more people get a chance to see it. Kind of an awkward thing that happened at my showing was for the first 20 minutes, or about the first 5 minutes, there was no sound whatsoever. And then after that, they just started playing the random theater music that plays in between, so it was really awkward. But luckily, after about 20 minutes, they restarted it and had the sound working. It is great, and I think for those who have been along on this journey, for almost the whole time, it's gonna be emotional. This, I would say, for Clerks fans, is almost better, or will do some of the same things that Ghostbusters Afterlife did to Ghostbusters fans, only more so because the main characters from the previous two films are there for the entirety. And there are some gut punches in here, but I mean it doesn't feel like it's doing it just to be melodramatic. It makes sense within the story that's set up. Now, that's the end of my just regular review section. But I will say, make sure to stay, if you're doing the Fathom Events credit thing, make sure if you're doing the Fathom Events showing to stay after the credits, because there was a making of thing as well. And then Kevin Smith also has a really nice thing he says during the very end of the credits. And it's beautiful. I know a lot of people wouldn't expect to hear that about, a Kevin Smith movie. Yeah, I mean, it's funny too. It's hilarious, and there's a lot of raunchy comedy. But it's not there just for the sake of being there. It's part of the story. So now, I guess I can go over the story beats now. But basically, it's him telling the story of Clerks, basically. Yeah, but kind of mixing in more of his recent history. Because what happens is, at the very beginning, if you've seen the trailer, Randall has a heart attack that's very similar to the one Kevin Smith had in real life. And he decides, his time is limited and he wants to do what he always thought of doing, so he decides to make a movie about his life. But, so it very kind of becomes meta, but not in a way that feels cheesy. They pull it off well. And a lot of it is actually about, like, some of the lost and terrible things that Dante has been through. And, kind of Randall, with his recent trauma, not realizing that Dante has never dealt with his. And that's kind of one of those things that it's hard in friendships, is to realize that, even if you're going through a bad time, your friends could be going through just as bad of a time, if not worse. I think that's a good lesson all of us can take away. Because sometimes, we let our own situation get the better of us, and we forget that everyone has their situation going on. So, yeah, I guess I didn't get too much into spoilers, but, yeah, I'd say it's definitely worth seeing. I'd say it's probably necessary to have seen the first two Clerks movies, just because it references them so much. But not in like here's an Easter egg sort of way. It's because the movie within the movie, it makes sense within the story. And, yeah, you definitely will need to have seen those. And I think if you watch them back to back, like if you haven't seen them before, it probably won't hit as hard as those people who have been following it along the way. But I still think it'll be good. You just got to remember, or put it in your head, that there's like 15 years just about in between each of the movies, because that kind of weight of time is also kind of part of the storytelling. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed it, and I hope you all give it a chance. I'm not sure how much more showings they're going to do, but I'm sure it'll be on streaming soon, and I think he's touring with it. I wish I could afford to go see him, because I know he's coming to town, but it's like, I don't have the money for that. I got to pay rent. But at least I was able to come to this Fathom event and see it, a lot earlier than that. But yeah, definitely give this movie a shot. And I'll catch you all in the next thing.